What if a simple idea from your middle school English class actually held the key to understanding not just stories, but your entire life? Well, today we're diving into point of view and how the lens we see through can literally change everything.
I mean, think about it. It's a huge question, right? A family dinner, a meeting at work, a big moment in history? How can the exact same set of facts lead to totally different conclusions? It really all comes down to the lens we're looking through.
In the world of literature, writers call this lens point of view. It's kind of like their secret weapon for controlling exactly what we see, what we know, and maybe most importantly, what we feel. So let's do a quick breakdown of the main tools they've got in their toolkit. Okay, this camera analogy is a really brilliant way to get it. First person is the selfie cam. It's super intimate, totally personal, using I and me. Then you have third person limited, which is like an over-the-shoulder camera following just one character around really closely. And third person omniscient, that's the security cam. It sees everything, knows what every single person is thinking. Pretty cool, right? So to see just how powerful this really is, our source material gives us this fantastic little case study, a short story called The Missed Shot. And it shows how one single moment can splinter into completely different realities for different people. So picture this. The stakes are as high as they can get. The gym is dead silent. The score is tied. And the entire game is resting on this one player's shoulders. You can just feel the pressure. And she misses. From Kayla's first-person point of view, her selfie cam, this is a moment of absolute total failure. Her lens is zoomed in on that one negative outcome and her role in it.
But now let's switch the camera angle. From her coach's perspective, this single moment isn't the whole story, not even close. He's seeing the entire season, all the progress, all the growth. His view is about the whole journey, not just this one final second.
And here we go, a third view. Her teammate Mia, she isn't focused on the miss, and she's not even thinking about the season-long growth. Her focus is on the effort right here in this game, remembering that Kayla's performance is the only reason they even had a chance to win at all. And this just perfectly illustrates the whole conflict. Kayla is locked into her own harsh self-perception, seeing only failure. But the outside world, all these other characters, they see a completely different story, one of effort and character and growth. So it makes you ask, which perspective is the true one? And that question, well, that's what takes us way beyond basketball and literary devices. It forces us to pull this concept right off the page and apply it directly to our own lives, our own reality. See, the whole goal here is to use this understanding of different points of view as a direct pathway to empathy. To be empathetic is to consciously switch from our own selfie cam and just try, even for a moment, to see the world from someone else's over-the-shoulder perspective. But then, the source material argues that empathy isn't even the final step. It takes this idea even further, suggesting there's another point of view to consider, one that's bigger than our own self-judgment, and even bigger than the perspectives of the people around us. There's this short poem in the lesson that just captures these layers perfectly. It starts with the heart. That's Kayla's internal view, seeing only failure. Then the friend sees the effort. But then it introduces a third level, the father, who sees the growth. And this points toward a much bigger, almost omniscient, grace-filled perspective. And that's what the lesson defines as God's point of view. It's presented as the ultimate security cam, one that sees everything, not to find fault, but to see with grace. It's a perspective that looks right past a single missed shot, to see our true potential and our real value. The source gives us this powerful biblical example to make the whole concept really concrete. You have a crowd, and they look at a woman, and their point of view sees a rule breaker, a sinner who deserves punishment. But then Jesus completely shifts the perspective. He sees a person, a human being, who needs mercy. Same person, same situation, but two radically different points of view. So you might be wondering, why teach English this way? Why connect all these literary tools to morality and even spirituality? Well, it all ties back to a very specific educational philosophy that's driving this entire lesson. The guiding philosophy here is basically this: knowledge, all by itself, isn't enough. In fact, it can even be harmful if it's disconnected from morality. So the goal isn't just to be smart, it's to make good, kind, empathetic choices. And the source argues that this requires developing a mindset that is ultimately spiritual. And this quote, this is really the foundational promise of this whole teaching method. The source connects the act of shifting our perspective away from self-judgment and towards empathy and grace with a real, tangible outcome, life and peace.
And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Every single day, in every interaction, we are choosing a point of view. Are we stuck on the selfie cam, locked on our own failures or successes? Or are we trying to switch the lens to see the effort, the growth, and just the humanity in ourselves and in other people? Because at the end of the day, the perspective we choose is the world we see.